Hi there, I'm Ezekiel Dasho, and today I'm going to draw this face. I'm going to begin by drawing the eyes, and today I want to focus on moving quickly and lightly with respect to accuracy as well. And the idea being I want to practice this skill of being able to sketch quickly from life. And I don't want to belabor the point too much, but it's a great skill, and in terms of drawing, I think it might be one of the most important skills because um, it's the skill that allows you to, if you're sitting at a zoo drawing an animal, or if you're sitting at a coffee shop drawing one of your friends, or to quickly capture that and quickly represent that life, to create and what from what you see in a fluid and living way is definitely what it's where it's at when it comes to drawing. Um, Also, the being quick and light can allow you to the freedom to express yourself in a way that you just don't have when you're paying attention to or focusing on tons and tons of little details. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going through the picture and I'm jumping from point to point, kind of. So from this eye, I went to the nose, and from then kind of blocked out the nose, and then went up to the next eye. And this, I think, is an easy and quick way. Maybe easy is not the right word, but a logical way. You make one move, and then you make the next move, and the moves that you make are always with respect to the last move that you made. So, like, if a move is drawing that eye, then the next move is going to be looking for something close by that I can draw to keep building this face, the frame of this face up. So let's, so much hair, so many shadows. That's kind of why I chose this close up, so that we could just sort of rumble through in a very quick, light way. So the shadow helps us build these points too. And then we've got this mouth, lips here. Keeping everything very light. I'm not pressing down hard at all, if at all. I'm just letting the weight of the pencil provide the pressure. Kind of just dragging it across the page and so we'll keep blocking these bits in here. The hair is going to come all the way up to this lip almost. And then this other section of hair comes all the way over here. And then her chin, at least this section here, is pretty well defined. There's this kind of shadow shape. And then over here everything's just defined in gradual shadow and there's not much hard contrast, but get to that in a little bit. Got these shadows here. I'm just going to go ahead and draw the shadows. So like that would be where the boundaries of that light spot are. And we can add a little hair on the end or just kind of leave it out. I don't want to spend too much time getting bogged down in the little strands of hair. If I wanted to, or if one wanted to do a more photorealistic drawing of this, I would recommend starting with a lighter pencil. I'm using a 4B right now, but if you used a harder pencil and drew it lightly and sketched it lightly, and you would have sort of the ability to draw each hair with the lighter pencil and then sort of color around it later. Let's see if we can get this straight here. Just her hand. She's kind of running her hand through her hair there. That's not really going to make a big difference. What we're looking at is this sort of the face framed in the hair and then the shadows that are cast by the hand and the arm there. So we've got this darker area here. I'm going to start most of the shading in here. I'm going to do by this cross-hatching method, and then we'll cross-hatch it at least once and then go over it with like light circular motion. Go over certain areas with a light circular motion to keep the drawing looking accurate to what we see in the photograph. So let's just draw that shadow in there, and then seeing this shadow come down from her eye. And these shadows here forming the depth of her eyebrows. And let's get these under her eyelid shadows in. And there's a little bit of like just light skin tone, I'd say, on the cheek where the sunlight's not super bright. But she's also wearing like a little bit of makeup or something, so her cheek is a little almost orange pink. And then get some tone in here. And some now, there are a couple shadows on the nose that are going to be pretty important to get right on this one. And I'd say those are right about here. And then this one here. Oh, I don't want to get it too dark. I don't want it to be too light. And I want it to be the right shape. There's almost this V shape under the nostrils too. And a good way to get the nostrils looking like they're the right shape, even if it's not super exact, is to just get up and find the darkest place that you see in the picture and get that to be dark. So now let's start getting some of this other area cast in. So now we've got pretty much everything built on the frame of the face, so to speak. And we can start with the shading and the more detailed shading. So I've got the eyelashes, and I'm kind of just treating them as one solid piece so that, I don't want to get too trapped into the details there. Not worrying too much about the exactness of it. My thoughts are a little fragmented sometimes. I'm talking as well as still getting used to talking as well as drawing at the same time. But thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for your views and your likes and subscription, my subscriber. You mean the world to me. And so now we're going to do this same technique as we've been doing. If you've been following my other videos, we've been using this technique the whole time, and we're getting into that part of the drawing where we just go around identifying the dark places and making sure that they're dark enough. I also, for instance, this eyebrow could use some darkening, and as we shade things in, the darks will start to look lighter because of the contrast, and we've been over that a lot. I don't want to go on that whole spiel again, but we're just going to go around looking for areas that are too dark, not dark enough. This area here is well shaded in compared to the other parts of the face. So if the forehead, I've given it this has two passes of cross hatching, one going this way, one going this way. Right now this has two on this part, and I do want to go in and at least add a third. We'll see how it looks after that. And I definitely want to retain the contrast from the shadows, so I need to kind of arching brow here. And let's go with the lips and a little bit of darkness there, and a little bit over here as well as here. And lips are pretty light, but there is this area here where the shadow comes down, and they're quite a bit darker there. And then here too, quite a bit darker. And let's see, under the lips, we got some shadow going on here. Lighter area here. So now it's really, we're not drawing the face so much as we are like looking for specific shadows and drawing the shadows correctly. So for like this part of her cheek, I'm not actually thinking, oh, I'm gonna draw this cheek right now. I'm thinking, where's the shadow that's her nose is casting, and what is the shape of it? And, trying to, depending on the complexity of the drawing, I'm going after thinking, how many component shadows are within this shadow. And so like the shadow cast by her nose here, it's pretty complex. Like right now I'm treating it kind of simply, but if you look in closely, there's like as you get closer to the light on her upper lip, the shadow appears darker due to the contrast. And as you see this area here, her cheek, like that starts to look a little darker too. And then anywhere that's like immediately adjacent to a bright, hot bit of sunlight, like that looks darker. Because of the contrast from the light and the darkness. And I want my drawing ideally to be as subtle as the picture, but I also want to kind of move quickly here. So I'm striking that balance, and then kind of just seeing what happens. A little bit of shadow there. And then, I should deal with the whites of the eyes here. They're certainly not white on the picture. They're actually pretty dark. So I can just kind of, make sure everything's the right shape of darkness here. And similar to drawing any other shadow, would just go in there and treat them like shadows rather than treat them like eyes. And maybe accentuate or not accentuate, but darken up like the folds above her eyelashes. These areas are actually pretty dark, so I guess I should get in there and make them as dark as the picture. I have them a little too accentuated right now. I'm going to try to always be thinking about, is what I have in my drawing as subtle as what I see on the picture, and not try to make anything unrealistic. I just want to be true to life. At the same time, I want to make sure that I'm not getting a picture that's looking like washed out and gray. And so definitely it's a sort of a matter of sort of like tuning, like fine tuning an instrument or something like that. Quick, do a couple of little detail adjustments here on the nostrils, and see the shadow that her eyes cast is making it even darker over here. She's got a lot of eye makeup on, so that definitely makes our job easier in terms of getting a realistic looking realistic pair of eyes from this picture. So we're getting close to, I think, tying this one up and let's go ahead and draw some of the hair in quickly so that it's not so that the face isn't so alone in the picture here. And if you look at the picture, she's got quite a bit of hair. It's pretty thick, and like I zoomed out a little bit for you. If you're watching at home, you may want to just reference the source photo that I'll provide the link in the description. But if you wanted, you could keep going a little bit with the arm or whatever, but I think right now I just want to give it the sense that there's like this, some of the hair is blowing around from the back, and some of it's blowing around this way, and some of the hair is beneath that. And then let's go ahead and pay respect to the shadows and the lighting here so that we're not losing the shape of the head in the get some of this neck and chin a little bit. See the darkest parts of the neck are the corners, and they're kind of bound by the hair and stuff like that. So bound by the hair and chin, rather. closer and closer here, and each little adjustment we make brings us closer to finishing it up. And because I am at home, it's sometimes easy to just get lost in it a little bit and let it run long. And I hope that's useful to people who love drawing and who are learning and want and can use the sort of unfiltered, unvarnished look at my process to see, if you want to draw just like me, that's great. But if you have your own style and this can be useful to you for developing that, that's extremely great as well. Sometimes, seeing how other people do it helps you develop your own style, even if what you're doing isn't, trying to be exactly the same or anything like that. So now we can get in here and start putting in some finishing touches on the light areas as well. In these areas here, I'm just basically using this oval, this fast sort of circular motion, sometimes in clockwise, sometimes in counterclockwise. And it's sort of blending and adding value at the same time. And so for places where I'm using a lightweight sort of cheap paper right now. It's just 50-pound sketching paper. It has some tooth to it, but it's not very heavy, not very smooth. So sometimes you need to go over certain places a little more than others because based on where the grain in the paper is or whatever, there are areas that need more attention just to get the same amount of value as other places. So now let's kind of look at the nose a little bit. We've got this shine here. I want to retain that as much as possible, but I don't want to go overboard with that. So yeah, I think we're getting to a place where I start to like what I see. And I could even darken this up a little more. It's hard sometimes to decide how much well, not, it's not hard to decide. It's a it's a question that it's important to ask about when you're doing hair. Like, how detailed do you want to get? Um, for this one, I like, for this piece, like, I am trying to keep it kind of fast and loose, and so basically I've just drawn big shapes and then shaded the shapes and done some like sweeping, some sweeping motions like this to kind of get the motion uh, that the hair is moving in. Like over here, it's just so light, I just almost don't even want to touch it. Like in this area here near her arm. So her arm would like go off into this direction here. This is that dark area under her hand. And well, anyway, back to the hair. So it's a question you want to ask because I think it's just a personal preference thing for anyone who's drawing, or for each artist individually. It's just, the piece they're working on is how they want to treat it, how they want the look of it to be. And I think a lot of times for this kind of drawing, I prefer to put a little bit of time into it, but not too much. And I certainly don't want to look at it as though I'm drawing every single hair on this piece anyway. Sometimes you do want to get in there and get more detailed and stuff, but there are different ways that you can kind of accentuate the shadows and the lights and darks in the hair so that it'll look like a full head of hair without having to think about it in terms of individual strands of hair. I don't know if that's very clear. I guess what I'm trying to say is just like treat it like a teacup or like a glass of water, or like any other object that you draw, and don't be daunted by how much is going on there. Just make sure the shapes are right and the values are right, and what you have at the end will look great. Um, if the shapes are wrong and the values are all wrong, it's going to look weird, even if you've drawn beautiful looking hairs. Well, if that makes sense. Don't lose the forest for the trees or whatever. And like down here, you could say, oh, this is a separate hair, and then just go in there like that, and like that, and start to define them too. There are lots of different ways that you can treat it. Um, all right, everybody. Thanks for being with me, and hope to see you again next time. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Look forward to any comments, and invite any thoughts or criticisms or ideas for source material that we can use. And definitely hope that this was helpful and useful and fun. And this is Ezekiel Dasho signing out.